our first year of marriage did not end up the way we thought, because I ended up getting diagnosed with MS right after our anniversary. It was in May, right before my 22nd birthday. I just want people to see that your life doesn't end after diagnosis, and that it could actually get better. And I didn't know that when I first started. And if somebody would have told me that in the beginning, I probably would have been really mad. My next big goal is the Endure Double Ultra Triathlon. It's 281.2 miles continuous. It's a 36-hour cutoff. And if I complete it, or when I complete it, I will be the first person in history with multiple sclerosis to complete that distance.
If someone is out there and they just got diagnosed with MS today, what would you tell them? I am super honored to have our next guest on Rebel Rootz today. I was just talking a little bit beforehand, and her story is amazing. The girls at the office, they're like, you have got to meet her. And it was pretty quick. They told me about her on Monday, and here she is on Thursday. And I am honored to have her here, and I can't wait to share her story. Please give a warm Rebel Rootz welcome to Misty Johnson. So good to meet you. I told you finally in person. Like I said, the girls at the office, they were just nonstop telling me your story. And I was like, we've got to get it shared on the podcast. Actually, I'm going to let you take it over, Misty, and tell us. I love talking a little bit about childhood, because I do think that growing up, we are given signs from the universe of where we are currently. And some of us take different roads to get to where you are now. And I would love to hear your upbringing and who you were as a child.
Okay. Yeah. My name's Misty, of course. And then, so I grew up in Oklahoma, and my parents still live there in Virginia now. And I was in the military. So I guess before I got to the military, I grew up in Oklahoma, and it was pretty a normal childhood for the most part, country style childhood, very small town, small school. I think my graduating class was like less than 20 people. And so,
Okay.
Yeah, very small.
You're a smaller town than I was. So that's, I thought I was small town, but you totally just beat me.
Yeah. Yep. And then, I graduated high school. I actually was in school to become a CNA. So I worked doing that for a little bit, and home health aide. And so I worked in a few different nursing homes and did home care. And then I ended up joining the military and did like a complete 360 on what I was doing. I ended up becoming a truck driver in the military. And I actually kind of enjoyed it. I really wanted to travel, and like I just thought that would be a cool way to do it. And so I ended up getting based in Germany for my time in the military. I did one term, and then that's where I met my husband, Seth. He was in the military too, and it's kind of a cute story. We joined on the same day in two different states. He's from Pennsylvania. I'm from Oklahoma. And on January 27th, we signed our contracts to get sent to, the military. And we didn't know each other, and we met in Germany. And the first day that I got there, I met him, and then we just kind of fell in love, I guess you could say. He said that he's right when he seen me, he just knew that he was going to marry me. So,
First sight.
Yeah, we ended up getting married within like a few months of knowing each other. And then we just had our 11-year anniversary on April 17th.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. So I started having symptoms in the military before I got out. I was having a lot of like mental health issues with my emotions. I was having trouble like managing my emotions, and I kept going to the doctor and like having them, try to look at things and figure things out, but they never really like did any actual testing. Cause then I started having really bad headaches and like pain in the back of my head, like all of this all at the same time. And then, I ended up out processing in the military, and I had let them know, like, while I was getting out, like all of these things that had been happening. Like when I tilt my head, I get tingling down my spine and all of these really strange things were happening. I knew that there was something wrong. And so I ended up keeping all of that paperwork, while I was going to those hospitals because they were giving me injections of steroid injections in my neck and it was not helping anything. And so I ended up out processing in the military, getting out, going to work at like a maintenance job. And things just started slowly going downhill from there. I started having really bad balance problems and memory issues. And within 3 months out of the military, I had lost 35 pounds. And so I'm like a bag of bones because I was about 150 when I got out of the military and I was like so skinny. You could start to see my bones and my back and stuff. And it was a really hard time because I couldn't eat. I was losing all the weight because I was so dizzy. I would eat and get really nauseous because everything was moving and spinning. I had really had bad vertigo. And then I started losing my vision. And that's when I was like, there's something majorly happening. And so I had to wait until I got insurance because you got to wait 3 months for your job to have insurance. So I waited. Yeah, I was 3 months out in my job and I was already about to get promoted. I really liked working and I was good at those kinds of jobs. Like I liked doing manual labor jobs. I liked being outside. I liked doing those things. But the job really started wearing me down because it was night shift. So I'm like waking up at like 8 o'clock in the evening, having to drive several hours to the job location, work all night long until 7:30 in the morning, and then drive all the way back home or back to the job, drop off the truck and then drive home. And by then I would hardly have any sleep. And so, but I'm just doing this grind thinking that this is what people do. I'm 20 years old. Like, this is what people do. They work really hard and then, to get promoted and then eventually they'll settle into something that isn't as strenuous. So I just thought that I was just doing what people do at my age coming out of the military. And, but then when I started losing my vision, I was like really worried about it. And the dizziness kept getting worse. And the fatigue kept getting worse. And I was actually falling asleep at the wheel in traffic. And I was so lucky to not have an accident, like a major accident. Cause at the time I lived in Pennsylvania. Cause when we got out of the military, we moved in with my husband's family for a little bit and just to get on our feet again. And it was a really, really hard time for me because like I said, we got married really fast. And so I barely knew his family and they're from way different sides of the world as me. I'm a country girl from Oklahoma and I married somebody that is from the city and is New York area. So very, very different lifestyles. And, so when I moved in with them, it was like culture shock. Because I'm used to calm and quiet and, country vibes. And now I'm like loud and chaotic, crazy family stuff. And so it was a hard time for me in the beginning. And, me and my husband worked opposite shifts. So he wasn't even able to come with me to the hospitals. He worked the complete opposite shift as me. So he was sleeping anytime I was home and I was sleeping when he was home. And so I was pretty much alone for the few years of me trying to figure this out. And, it was a really hard time in my life. I went to the hospital and they thought that I was on drugs because I'm like super skinny. I have tattoos. I didn't have a primary care. So I'm like a new patient. And this doctor thinks that I'm just there trying to get drugs, I guess, because I was very emotional because I didn't know what was happening to me. Like my body felt like it was shutting down. I had even backed my husband's dad's car into their house because I couldn't see and I didn't know. And I kept telling them I couldn't see, but I didn't have a car. and I was needing to borrow somebody's car to get to work, and I still had to go to work. I mean, I had to pay rent with them, and so, and they thought I was doing a bunch of things that they thought I was doing all this on purpose. Like I would misplace things, put things where I shouldn't, or have things that I shouldn't because I didn't remember that I had them. And, my brain just was not functioning. And they actually thought I was doing it on purpose. And cause they didn't know me, like there's this new woman in our house and now she's saying that she can't see, but she's still driving and, like all these things. So I understand where they were coming from. But when I went to the doctor, they sent me to a psychiatrist first, told me that I needed to go speak to somebody because I was so emotional. Cause I cried when they told me that. I'm like, cause I know that there was something wrong. Like everything was spinning. Like people drink when you get really drunk and you see everything spinning like around you. That is what I was experiencing all day, every day for several months. And it was very intense. I was actually taking Dramamine to try to thinking that it feels like I Google it and it says motion sickness. So I'm like, I'm going to go take some motion sickness medicine. And of course it's not working. So I feel like I'm going insane. I have like nobody there. I'm at the hospital by myself every time. I can't even see the biggest letter on the eye chart. And the lady thinks that I'm lying. Like the lady thought I was making it up because I drove there. And I'm like, I am somebody that is very determined. I grew up, I love my parents. There's nothing wrong with the way they raised me, but I seen the way my mom had to handle life by being the stay-at-home mom, not working, raising the kids, and needing to ask for money, and was not able to afford things when they didn't have it because she didn't work. She raised us, which I'm very grateful for, but, I was very determined to never be that way. So when I got married to Seth, I already told him that I will be the breadwinner. Like I am going to be the one that goes to work, that comes home, and you're going to be the one at home. You'll be the stay-at-home dad. We agreed that was the way it was going to be. And we were on agreement. So our first year of marriage did not end up the way we thought because I ended up getting diagnosed with MS right after our anniversary. It was in May, right before my 22nd birthday, when I was diagnosed with MS. And the doctor that I'd went to that checked me for she checked me for alcohol poisoning. She thought I was on drugs. She checked my blood for drugs. Once she found out that, of course, I wasn't on drugs, she called me, set me up with an eye appointment. The eye doctor was like, there's nothing wrong with your eyes. Your eyes are perfectly healthy. But when they dilated them, they could see that the optic nerves were very, very inflamed and that they were gray, he said. And that is really bad. I was diagnosed legally blind, the same time that I was diagnosed with MS. And I was still trying to drive because how else was I going to get there?
I mean, just to think about that, I get your determination, but I mean, had to be an angel on your shoulder during those trips that, again, I understand your determination. When you set your mind and you see your parents doing that, you've set the standard for yourself and you don't want to go back from that. And then to have this condition and to still be that determined, you had an angel on your shoulder that kept you out of danger during all those trips, with that. So yeah, I meant to ask you, I'm like, what was the final decision for that MS? It was the eye doctor appointment, or it was both same time you said?
Yeah. So actually it happened very quickly because It's probably another reason why the lady thought I was trying to get drugs or something, because I went in there with urgency. I told her I have 1 month. My job let me go because I was falling down at work.
Yeah.
They were about to promote me, and they said, as soon as you figure out what's happening, you can come back and we'll give you your job with the promotion. And I was very grateful for that, but I couldn't even drive myself back to the job once I was diagnosed. I had to have my husband drive me and go in and give them back their keys to the truck and tell them that I wasn't able to come back at all because the job was way too strenuous for me. I couldn't stay up that late, and I had to start finding a balance and things and being more careful. But with
I'm
my
assuming you had 1 month because that was the your
1 month, I would lose insurance after that. And
Dang.
so when I came in there, I told them that, and the lady was just like, like, okay, and she probably just thought I was trying to get pills or something or whatever. But I told them I didn't want the medicine. I just needed to know what was wrong with me. They sent me to a neurologist right after, within like a day of that appointment, because the guy was like, this is really urgent. Things are happening right now and you need to go to the neurologist. So he called the doctor, told her, they got the referral in. I went like right next door. There was neurology, and they did the MRI. Well, they did the exam first, and that was the scary part because the doctor said that he knew that there was something majorly happening. Either there's a brain tumor. He said, he was just straight up with me. He's like, there's either a brain tumor or an autoimmune disease, and we need to get an MRI like immediately. And they did one of my brain, my cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. So they did the brain and all three or all four. It was like 4 MRIs. And it took a long, like several hours of being in the machine, just laying there. And they pulled me out of the machine, took me right next to door and set me down and told me that I needed to get put on steroids like right away. And he told me that I have MS, and to be honest, I don't even remember being told. I remember being in the machine and then them telling me that I needed to go see the neurologist right now. It was very urgent. And then I don't remember after that. I remember calling my husband afterwards and having him drive to the hospital and help me get back home because I was just so distraught. Because it was just so scary. I'm like, everything about my life changed in that moment, and about how I saw myself and about how I felt about the world and my life. And it went really dark for a while. I struggled mentally a lot because, like I said, I was supposed to be this independent person, and now they're telling me that I might not be able to see ever again. Like my vision was so dim that it was like, you ever stare at kind of be in a really sunny spot and then go into a room? That's exactly the way my vision looked all the time. And then if I got hot or stressed out, it would make it even darker. And we even went on our 1-year anniversary because we didn't know what was happening. I was still in the process of being diagnosed on April 17th when our anniversary was. And that was our 1-year anniversary. So my husband was trying to do something nice. He didn't know what was happening to me because I didn't want to tell him everything because I couldn't even put it into words. Like my brain was not even communicating with my mouth anymore. Like I would say something in my head and I would try to say it out loud and it would not be the same. And it was very, very hard because my husband didn't understand anything. He's very healthy. He's never been diagnosed with anything. We were both really young, and it was hard for him to even grasp like what was really happening. And we went all the way to New Jersey to the beach there and walked on the shore or on the beach. And I didn't even see any of it. I seen a video of it after I done the steroids and I seen it. I could not believe that I was me videoing because I didn't see any of those things that, we even went and seen a movie. We went to a casino and I'm just walking with him. And I even would lose my shoes. Twice I lost my shoes and we had to go back and find them because I didn't even know I walked right out of my shoes. I had flip flops on and I couldn't feel my feet. And I'm like still walking.
I mean, to have such a new relationship too. I mean, kudos to your husband for, meeting you and short engagement, married, you're celebrating your year and you're going through all of this. And I'm not saying that, people separate because of that, but
well, they do though. It's true.
The first year of marriage is so tough and you're living with his parents. So I can't imagine just like the stress of trying to hold together a marriage and then trying to figure out all these issues with your body. I mean, yeah, what a hell of a year.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So, okay, I know that you got a huge event coming up. How does going from being diagnosed with MS, legally blind, to what you're going to do next? How did you even get involved in this?
So, we moved kind of all over the place. We got out of his family's house. We moved to Texas and then we got working with the job there. And then we got promoted and we were actually working together because I can't see. So, but I was still trying to drive. I drove all the way from Pennsylvania all the way to Texas. I drove by myself and because we had 2 separate cars. And so, and he went before me. So I was literally driving. It was a nightmare. I hit a deer and everything, but that's a whole nother story. Like it was a disaster, but I made it and I got promoted. He got promoted. We got this business going. It was like a third party, like marketing firm. And we did door to door sales. And, but I ended up getting I had a lot of problems with my MS. I kept having relapses. They didn't have the right drugs for me yet. And we ended up moving from there all the way to Washington with the business, Washington State, actually. And they moved us out there for free. So we were like, okay, well, we'll do it. And that's really where all this started. Washington State was so good for me. They had a lot of great MS doctors there, a lot of MS specialists that I could see. I ended up getting in with the VA. And so I'm fully service connected now. So the VA pays for everything because like I said, I kept all that paperwork while I was in the military and I showed them everything because I had all those symptoms while I was in and they didn't do any imaging until, all of that happened. And so I got service connected with the military. And so everything, started flowing better. I didn't have to worry about working so much, because in Texas, the heat, it got me so bad. I was working 6 days a week. I was working outside, doing door to door sales in the heat. Couldn't see. I have to use the paper this close to my face and then walk up to every mailbox. So that was kind of my sales tactic. Just tell people honestly, I have MS and I'm legally blind and I'm here to talk to you about your internet. And it worked. And so, but then I ended up having more problems while we were in Texas, got hospitalized again. And that's when everything really shifted for me. I couldn't even drive at all after that. I ended up hitting some curbs and messing up my car. And I just was like, I can't do this. I'm going to end up hurting somebody. I was really grateful that I didn't at that point because I'd been 3 years of me driving like that, which is so not good. But most of the time I tried to let my husband drive or whoever else is in the car drives my car.
Yeah. No, you should.
Yeah. But, so I had somebody
else but yourself. So
yeah. So I had somebody drive my car to Washington for me. And that's a whole different story too. I don't have that car anymore, but, so I'm in Washington. I end up going to physical therapy. And I meet this woman and her name is Anne, and she takes me under her wing because I was not doing well. I wasn't leaving my house. because I was afraid. The only thing I would do is walk down the street to PT and come back because I was forgetting, like, Texas really got me because my brain really started not working. Like, I couldn't put papers in alphabetical order. I got let go from my job again. My boss actually drove me home and told me that there's no point in being there because I'm not making any sales and there's nothing that they can do for me. And I was working for free. Like, if you're not making sales, you're not making money. And I was still showing up every day and just sitting in the office trying to get them to get me to do things. And I couldn't even do the smallest things they were asking me to do, like tiny little tasks. And it would take me all day long, but I would still be there trying to do it. And the guy just drove me home and he's just like, I know what you're going through and you need to find something that you feel satisfied and happy doing and something that you can do right now because you can't just keep doing this to yourself. And so, I didn't know what to do with myself. So I just didn't do anything for a while. I was just trying to wake up and remember to brush my teeth every day was a hard thing and remember to feed myself because it was just me at the house. And, when we moved to Washington, I was really afraid. It's a new city. I would be walking and not remember where I was at. And that was really scary. I did not like that happening. And so I did not go anywhere. I would go to PT and come right back home. And when I met that lady, Anne, she's retired. She's in her 60s and she like really took me under her wing and she's still my best friend to this day. I call her, every other day almost and we talk. But she's still in Washington and, but she started taking me to the Y, started kind of telling me that I need to use my resources and that there's a lot of resources out there for people that have visual impairments and they're blind. And, there's a lot of things that I can do for myself to get out there and not be afraid to live. And so she started, taking me to the YMCA and she would drop me off at the door. Then she'd be like, you have to go in, but I was so anxious. I couldn't even see people's faces that are right in front of me. I'd have to get so close. And I care too much about what people think. I don't want to be mean and people say hi to me and I don't know. And so it would get really in my head and get really nervous and just not want to go places because you don't look at me and think she can't see because
Right.
I didn't have a dog. I didn't have a stick. And I was very determined to never let that happen. They tried sending me home with stuff like that. And I am not going to use it because once you use those things, it's like you depend on it so much that you get afraid to not. And I felt like I was just too young to be having all this happen. And so I was very determined and stubborn in a good way to not let that happen. And so I would take it, but it would never get used. And, so the YMCA, I started doing water aerobics, chair yoga, what I started with, cause I didn't know what I could do. I was really afraid cause I just felt so weak and tired. And so I just started with the really minimal classes. And I was the youngest person in all of those classes. People were like, is she really here for, this? I'm like, yep. And I would just explain my story a little bit and they would understand. And then it moved from that to cycling class. And then I was watching a YouTube video and I seen a video and then about triathlon. And I was like, I really want to do this. Even though I'd never swam like that, I've never biked and I didn't even know how I was going to bike because I can't see. And when I get hot, it makes it worse. And so I tried to ride a bike and I ended up like flipping over the handlebars and like hurting myself. And then I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then I looked it up and Ironman has rules, on like people with visual impairment. They have to ride a tandem bike and they have to be tethered with a guide. And so, originally I wasn't going to do an Ironman. I actually met a lady. I said I wanted to do a triathlon and she says, why do a triathlon when you can do an Ironman? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do an Ironman. And then I didn't know what it was. I went home and looked it up and I was like, I told them I was going to do this and it's so long. Can't believe it. And, so that's really how it all started, was just like some building momentum towards it. I ended up meeting a great community at the gym. They did not know that I had MS when she said that to me. But then when she found out that I couldn't hardly see and, and I had to have all these things, she ended up helping me find a guide. So
And Seth,
mhm.
was he on the tandem bike with you tethered, or did you actually get another training partner that did this with you?
So in the beginning, Seth did not work out like this. When we left the military, we both didn't work out. I didn't even start working out until I got diagnosed. And then I went to the gym and got a personal trainer within like probably 6-7 months after being diagnosed. And I couldn't even hardly walk straight. I had to hold on to the treadmill and walk because one of my legs was so much more numb than the other that I would like go one direction. And so I'm like holding on to the treadmill. And then eventually I was able to start trying to turn it up and hold on and run. And then eventually I was able to let go and I was so excited. I like got into the car and I'm like, I was able to let go of the treadmill today. It was amazing. And then I just slowly built up.
So you decide that you're going to do an Ironman. You have to find somebody that will do it with you so that they can guide you. So how far from the time you decided to do the Ironman to when was your first race?
So,
And
my guide, her name was Amy. She was awesome. She even helped me. She got a tandem bike. She said she wanted one. So she's like, this is the reason for me to buy one. So, her and her husband actually wanted to ride it together too. So she bought the bike and she said she wanted to do a practice race, which was a great idea. So we ended up doing a triathlon, a smaller one, a Olympic distance in, I want to say like 2 months before the event, but I would say it was about 8 months away from the time I decided. So, it was a good time, 6 to 8 months. And I did my first one in Maple Valley, Washington.
what year was that, Missy?
That was, 2021.
Oh, so okay. That's been a little while. Or not while, but I mean, good.
2 years.
So how did you feel when you crossed the finish line?
It was the most amazing thing. It was amazing to experience it and that my body made it, and to like go that far. I actually wasn't able to do the run at all, hardly. Like I walked the whole run, because I didn't do enough running. I was not ready for that. I had such cramps in my side. Oh, it hurt so bad. But I had so much support through that. And then the huge amount of support when I came across the finish line from everybody from the YMCA and all the people that I had met. And they had signs and I just could not believe how many people. They even volunteered so they could be at the start line as I was getting in and out of the water and people that were holding the signs and stuff. Like there were so many people there for me and I just could not believe the community that was involved in, all of that triathlon and Ironman. And that's really what made me want to stick around was all the support in the community. Like, they actually cared and wanted to help and I just never really experienced that kind of stuff before. I never did sports in school. I tried sports. It's not like I didn't try. I did do one sport like each year, but I was not ever any good at anything. And I didn't have that because it was a small town. There's not a lot of that kind of stuff. So I never experienced that kind of community before. And that's really what got me, hooked. After that, I was really hooked. Within a month after that, I ran my first marathon. Because I was like, I'm not going to leave it on this. I couldn't even run that half marathon because I had such bad cramps. So I ended up switching. doing all running, and then so I could run my first marathon. And then I signed up for more Ironmans.
I was going to say, how many more have you completed since 2021, your first one?
I've done 8 total, 4 halves and 4 fulls, and one was the World Championship in Kona, Hawaii last October.
Oh, that's so cool. And then I know that you have another one coming up,
Yes,
and this
that was the
is
big one.
even going to be even special because why?
Because I am doing this for the MS community. So I am my goal is to raise $4,000 for the MS Society, to help further their research and to also show what's possible. I didn't know going into this that it would be this way, because I already wanted to do the distance. I already wanted to go, do this type of event, because I've done Wisconsin half and full Ironman, and they do them back to back. So on Saturday, I did the half Ironman, and then on Sunday, I did the full. And I was like so shocked. I was tired, but I was really shocked with how my body adapted to being able to do that, even though, I have MS, and I had somebody approach me on one of those events, and she was visually impaired. And she was just so inspired. And she asked if there was any way that she could follow me and see my journey. And at that point, I had never shared it like that. I've been interviewed by other, news channels and things like that, but I never shared it on social media. I was very against the media. First of all, I can't hardly see very well. So it was annoying to look at my phone all the time. And so I just never, shared it like that. But recently I've gotten into, now I share it daily. I actually make daily videos for YouTube, shorts, and then I'm going to try to do a weekly update as well for all my training and how my body's handling it, so people can follow along the journey as this goes. But so my next big goal is the Endure Double Ultra Triathlon. It's 281.2 miles continuous. It's a 36-hour cutoff. And if I complete it, or when I complete it, I will be the first person in history with multiple sclerosis to complete that distance. And when I found that out, that's why I contacted the MS Society. I just let them know of my attempt, and they reached out to me, and they said that we should do this campaign together. And I thought it was a great idea, because I just want people to see that your life doesn't end after diagnosis, and that it could actually get better. And I didn't know that when I first started. And if somebody would have told me that in the beginning, I probably would have been really mad because I just wasn't ready. You really have to be ready in that space of growth to want to hear that,
No, I totally agree with that. And I feel like some people, if when they got that diagnosis, or, when they would get it, that they would feel that way. Like, I'm never going to be able to do my daily life, and I think that you're such a great role model, that you've taken it and you've done these things with it. And not only are you stopping with that, you're pushing it to the next level to even bring awareness to the community and to people out there who, might be still dealing with the same symptoms that you were 11, or I guess it's been 10 years ago, with that. So what an amazing story that, that you're such an advocate and so involved in this. And, I think it's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
So when's that race coming up where you'll be the first?
It will be September 11th. And
Okay.
it will be, the thing is it'll be my first race ever without a guide.
Yeah. I thought that, but I didn't want to say that, but guide, and it's 200, how many miles?
281.2.
Okay. And it's indoors.
Nope. It's
not.
all within a state park. So I live 20 minutes from the state park here. It's on Smith Mountain Lake State Park. And everything is held within the park. So that's why I believe that I can do it without a guide safely. They have a doctor on staff, so that was good. I'll be able to have an ice bath in transition, so that's my plan. I did reach out to several ice bath companies to see if I can get one, like partnered with them as well to be able to get one in transition. So, because I need to stay cool. My body, when it gets overheated, I cannot see. It goes right back to when I was first diagnosed. My brain stops functioning. My legs get more numb. My speech doesn't work as well. And so right now I'm really building a team of people to try to like help me get through this. It'll be, my husband and some friends and some family and some supporters to try to like make sure that I'm eating and make sure that I'm like doing all these things and like checking to make sure that, my feet are doing well and to, just trying to build up a good team of support, because it's going to be a really long, long day and night because it's a 4.8 mile swim, 224-mile bike ride, and a 52.4-mile run at the end. And so it's a long ways. It's going to take me about 35 hours or more. It's a 36-hour cutoff. And last year I volunteered, and there was 6 people that signed up, and 3 of them made it. So
Okay.
it's about a 50% right now, achievement for people. And there was 1 woman and 5 men, and 3 of the men dropped, and the 1 woman and the 2 men made it. And they all made it within that like 34, 35 hours. And so I probably will be right in that same time.
Hey, doesn't matter. It's still before cutoff. So it could be a minute before, but you got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where can, I got a couple things to kind of end, but if someone is out there and they just got diagnosed with MS today, what would you tell them?
That everything's going to be okay, because there's nothing in that moment when you're first told that's really going to like make it better. It's just going to take some time to feel better, like you're going to go through a lot of hard times and you're going to feel like your body is not yours anymore. That's something that people don't really talk about. When you're first diagnosed with something, when you look in the mirror, you don't like see yourself anymore. You see something different, your perspective changes about what you see. It's kind of like the way I can explain it is like, when you're watching like a movie and somebody gets diagnosed with like a cancer or some other kind of illness and you feel that kind of sadness towards them. When you get diagnosed with something, you don't even realize that those things happen. But when you look in the mirror, that's how you're feeling about yourself. And it's just such a interesting feeling, a shift of your perspective about how you are and who you are as a person. And to know that it gets better, like it will get better, and to not be afraid to just keep going. And so that's what I would say.
And where can we follow you just so that we can keep up with your journey?
I'm on all the social medias, but I share on YouTube and on TikTok, almost every day. And so that would be at ms.endurance.warrior.
Love it. Well, I just want to wish you the best luck, and we will keep up with you to see how you're doing and follow along with your journey. But I just feel like you have taken a diagnosis and have turned it into such an advocacy for everyone else out there who might be facing this, I guess, disease, you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
In there. And I think you're going to help so many people along the way. I mean, you were already doing that, just showing people what you can do with a diagnosis. So just thank you for everything. And thank you for being so strong and determined. Your mama raised you right.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.